everybody. I brought a gadget, because if there's one lesson to be learned from Jeff Jarvis, bring a gadget. I'm Karel van den Berg, and I want to talk to you about pattern breaking news. This was my first journalistic tool. It was a giant leap into the career I aspired to, and I'm always amazed how little has changed since this machine. Because if you think about it, Woodward and Bernstein wouldn't have revealed a different Watergate scandal on a tablet computer. I think they already used what still is our most important device, and I'll introduce my new gadget. It's the brain. Because journalism has always been an intellectual trade, I think. I think we turn known answers into new questions. That's the fundamental value, one of the fundamental values we create. The ideas for new questions and new observations that lead us to new facts, unknown facts, and new insights. So I think news might start with an event, but journalism will always start with an idea. And since we lost our monopoly on news, on media, and on technology, I think the one device that distinguishes us from the amateur is our intellect. Now, all the more striking that you don't teach your students their most valuable tool. We never say, just use that medium or just use that device, but we do just say, have ideas without further explanation how to find them. So, 4 years ago, I became, as we call it nowadays, an entrepreneur. I became a freelancer, so I needed ideas to sell. I decided to take a training in creative thinking, and I entered a world I really wish I had known 30 years earlier. I learned really effective thinking techniques. Few of them, however, were very useful in newsrooms because, you know, no other trade needs so many ideas so often, so quickly. Another problem with some techniques, and I confess I did all this, is that journalists rarely dance or finger paint in order to find angles to the bank crisis or the next elections. You can imagine all that. So I decided to develop a method myself that brings more creativity into newsrooms and classrooms. I was looking for techniques that are acceptable and applicable for journalists. Quick tricks to find original stories and angles. First, research the journalistic box from which we start thinking. I interviewed 150 colleagues and students in Holland, Belgium, and Great Britain, and I observed 50 newsroom meetings. And then, based on my findings, I wrote a handbook on journalistic ideation. It's in Dutch only till further notice, but you can imagine that since my name is on a paper book cover, I'm an expert. This is the first lesson in my handbook. Creativity is all about breaking patterns. All those routines and habits that determine how you see, how you evaluate, how you interpret everything you know and see. For Rupert, you could say. The problem is that you teach your students many of those patterns. Not that I blame you, those patterns are not bad at all. Most of them are not bad at all. In fact, many patterns are the routines they need to become proper journalists. Also, you should be aware of the paradoxes in journalistic creativity, such as journalism is very factual, creativity is all about imagination. Journalism requires critical thinking. Creativity requires you postponing your judgment. Luckily, there's also a very strong parallel. Creativity means keep looking, keep thinking, keep asking for as many options as you can find. Turning answers into questions. Journalism in a nutshell, I would say. So during my research, I stumbled upon George Polti, who found 36 basic dramatic situations in world literature, and Ronald B. Tobias, who distinguishes only 20 Hollywood monster plots, which made me wonder, you can imagine, how many news angles can I find? And the answer I found is 18. There are 18 basic news angles in journalism. This calculation starts with the first lesson in journalism class, our 6 basic questions, one of those useful patterns you teach your students. By simply adding the word else, you turn this list into a quick trick to find as many answers within a topic as you can find. As I said, the best way of finding new ideas is finding as many as you can. The next step is associating the answers to the first 6 questions with other stories and other situations. Thus associating and breaking patterns by turning known answers into new questions. There you are, 18 angles. So yes, teach your students all the patterns they need to become proper journalists, but please also teach them how to find the ideas they need to become excellent journalists, be it on a typewriter or on any other device. Thank you so much.